and welcome to the Dean Obeidallah Show, also known as the Dean's Report Live. And look who's here, award-winning journalist, our friend Joy Reid, who you know from MSNBC, a best-selling author. Also, her Substack is wildly popular, which I'm sure everyone subscribes to, that's listening right now. And her YouTube show, you can check out the Joy Reid Show on YouTube many nights a week. I think it's three, but there's a
Three
special
nights a
tonight.
week.
We'll talk about tonight. So, Joy, nice to see you. Thanks for being on Election Day. A lot going on.
Happy Election Day, Dean. It's exciting.
It is. I live in New York City, so there's an extra level of it because Zohran Mamdani, who is running, would make history as the first Muslim. And I've known Zohran for a few years. You know, we're not close, but we know each other from mutual friends and Muslim events and talking on the phone and texting and stuff like that. So when he said he was running a year ago for mayor, I just was like, "That's adorable," and like I didn't like come on my show. I'm like, "Okay, great. Well, in the new year, I'll have you on my show because it's like last November." And now you can't get him back on. I mean, he came on during the
No, we
primary.
haven't been able to get him back either. We got him early on when he was like the, outsider candidate, and now we can't get him back anymore either.
He was on in the primary. I'm so excited for the excitement is built with the community, but the dark side is I never expected this much open anti-Muslim bigotry. And I don't mean trolls online. That they're always there. I don't even know what's real and what's not, right? But Eric Adams, when he
Yes.
endorsed Andrew Cuomo, citing Islamic terrorism in other countries, and somehow Zoran's connected. Andrew Cuomo going on WABC with Sid Rosenberg, who makes a horrible comment about 9/11 that he would cheer and they laugh. But Andrew Cuomo sort of showing leadership, and then added to the bullshit about saying, yeah, he would cheer this. And then Andrew Cuomo going on just on MSNBC over the weekend saying diversity is a weakness, which is a MAGA talking point. And
Yes.
then last night, the super PAC that is funded by Michael Bloomberg and Bill Ackman are showing 9/11, literally images of 9/11 and then Zoran. It is the most anti-Muslim garbage I've ever seen. And I was caught off guard. I didn't expect in 2025 this open level by actually people who you know who's doing it, where people because they feel like there's no backlash in our
Right.
society for being this openly vilely anti-Muslim.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, but I guess being black in America means never being surprised by racism, right?
Right.
Racism never surprises me, and this is exactly where I expected it to go. Remember, Donald Trump. One of the ways that he connected with the right, he used to be a Democrat. One of the ways he connected was after 9/11, being one of the main people to stop a group of Muslims, a Muslim organization, which is a peace organization that was going to build a mosque
Hmm.
in downtown Manhattan. He was one of the main people who put a stop to that. He immediately came out and started lying and saying he saw Muslims celebrating the fall of the Twin Towers, which is bullshit and a lie,
Yep.
making up all. So he went right there, and then of course his attacks on Barack Obama, the birtherism smear, which he amplified. He didn't create it, but he amplified it. Claiming he was a black Muslim from Kenya, and his family are from Kenya. There'd be nothing wrong if he had been Muslim, but making it sound like that was some sort of made him anti-American and sort of turning him into the stereotype of a black, foreign Muslim, and he was, one of the champions of that smear. So none of this surprises me. At this point, the Republican Party is just a racist party. Their whole goal is to traffic in racism to get white Americans to stay on board while they pick their pockets and rob them. And to get them to open their pockets and let themselves be robbed, they keep throwing out straw men of illegal immigrants, illegals as they call them, which is just a brown word for the N word. It's just a brown N word. When you say illegals, you just said the N word to me. And I shouldn't even say it, but that is the N word for brown people. And DEI hire is the N word for black people. And then with Mamdani, if they could scream and call him the N word, they would do it. But they mask it in trying to say calling him an anti Semite and all this other bullshit. And so the reality is, none of it surprises me. But what's really sad to me is that the party that's supposed to stand against that are the Democrats.
Right.
And I have not heard, maybe I'm missing it, and maybe because I'm not an Ms. Now anymore, maybe I'm just missing it. Where's the condemnation from Chuck Schumer, from Hakeem Jeffries? Where Andrew Cuomo may be running as an independent, but he's yours, Democrats. I'm on my way out the party. He is with you. He was the governor of New York as a Democrat. Y'all are not going to condemn him. Y'all not going to condemn Eric Adams. Yeah, Adams has been a Republican and a Democrat. He switched parties, but he was mayor of New York as a Democrat. Where's the condemnation? And Bill Ackman, who is the racist asshole who chased Dr. Gay out of the presidency of Harvard for daring to let pro Palestinian students be on campus and protest against a genocide, and who essentially believes any support for Palestinians is core anti Semitism, and who is an insane ass who wants him, will do anything to make sure that a Muslim will never be mayor of New York City because to me, he just don't like Muslims. I don't know, Bill. I mean, he's an asshole. So I would love to see more Democrats step forward and speak about your candidate. He's the Democratic nominee for mayor.
There are some who have been good. Even Richie Torres, who I don't agree with on the Middle East at all,
He's
but he's a
terrible.
Democrat. But he denounced some of the anti-Muslim bigotry early because he gets a sense of the room. He wants a future in the party,
He
and he
wants to
knows where the
run
party's
statewide.
going, and
Yeah.
he knows Zoran's the future. And he's building it's not Zoran running alone. He's built a massive coalition that looks like New York, like younger New
Yeah.
York. Like when
Yeah.
you go on the Upper East Side early voting a few days ago, it was packed. It was younger people who are, you don't see them on the Upper East Side. They live here. They came out to vote. So I mean, I think it's going to look good in the election. Their greatest nightmare for the other side is that you're unsuccessful, because
Yes.
then the Wall Street corporate Democrats have to deal with a Democratic Party that wants you to take on the billionaires and fight for the working class, which that's what our party's about.
That's
Our
right.
DNA at its best is like the New Deal Democrats, where we fight for the working class, and you're going to tax the rich because our number one priority is the working class Americans. And he's getting back to those roots, and they're calling him every name
A
in the book in his smear.
communist. By the way, Nora O'Donnell, uh, sis, ma'am, you didn't think that it might be your journalistic ethical responsibility to stop Donald Trump from calling this man a communist when he is not a communist? He's already said what he is. He's a democratic socialist. And
Right.
the democratic socialist is not even fully a socialist. And what I love about what he's doing, so first of all, I think she should have countered that, and she let Trump say it
Yeah.
more than once and didn't counter him, which is insane. But the other piece of it is calling him a communist. That's something fascists do. See, the people who are obsessed with anti-fascism and communism are generally fascists. So the
Right.
Republicans who are saying don't call us fascists, then don't do fascist things. If you're obsessed with communists, that means you're probably a fascist. That's number one. But the other piece of it is what I love about what Mamdani is doing. He's not running away from socialism. See, Democrats, just the fear of being called a socialist makes them cower and behave like Republicans and be more conservative and embrace neoconservative policy because they're so scared of embracing even FDR style
Right.
democratic socialism. They want, and he's an FDR style democratic socialist, but he don't run from it. He says, "I'm not going to run from socialism. You want to call me a socialist? I'm going to lean on it and tell you what a socialist is, because none of y'all even know what a socialist is." So what he's teaching Democrats is how not to be a weakling. If they call you a socialist, ask them, "What's a socialist?" I bet you they can't tell you, and
Right.
then you can tell them what it is.
Right.
Don't
Right.
be weak.
And look, affordability is the issue in New York City. Everything keeps going up. Everyone knows it across the country because polls over the weekend backed it up. And Andrew Cuomo's ads are not even about that issue. It's
Nope.
about, I built the new Grand Central Station. Okay, nice, fine. But people can't afford milk,
Right.
and eggs and stuff like that. How about talking about that? And they have no answers because the corporate Democrats like Cuomo and some others, they are funded by the Wall Street Democrats who want them to fight for the status quo. Because in the status quo, they've made money. And
Yes.
all they know is if you change the system, they might not make as much money. They probably will, because we know they always adjust. But in their
Sure.
mind, they're like, this system has served me really well,
That's
and
right.
I'm giving you money to preserve it. So you don't say democratic socialist, you say things like, I'm a democratic capitalist.
Right.
You're an idiot.
You're an idiot.
But they're just because they're funded by the wealthy. And Joy, so much of this is getting big money out of politics with
Yes.
mean elected officials answering to us
That's right.
first, not their donors. And it's legal to do bribes of millions of dollars for super PACs. That's such a priority going forward.
I mean, literally, you know a man by who is with him. The
Right.
people who are backing Cuomo is every billionaire, known and unknown, in the city of New York. Not just Bill Ackman, Michael Bloomberg. It's a who's
Yep.
who of the kind of people who were at that Mar-a-Lago Great Gatsby party. Think about the Mar-a-Lago Great Gatsby party. It's those kind of people who are backing Cuomo. Is that who you think is going to look out for you? Is that the everyman that's going to make your groceries cheaper? Does he even know what groceries cost? Quiz. I wish in that debate they had asked Andrew Cuomo, when's the last time you've been to the store? How much is bread? How much is sugar? When's the last time you bought your own groceries, bruh? You're doing these fake videos where you're in a car. You don't drive yourself. We know you have a driver. Don't try to bullshit a bullshitter. We know who you are, Andrew Cuomo, and why those 13 women said you were feeling on them. Are you going to feel on more women if you become mayor? Because now you're going to have your own little police force and you're going to have authority. You can intimidate those women who said that you felt on them. So this is my thing. Why, you know what he is. You know he's terrible, New York City. Why do you want him back? You know why the billionaires want him back? Because he's going to protect their money. And my favorite part of the horrible interview, the ridiculous interview on CNN, where they cut and edited it to make Trump seem not like he was sundowning. When he
Right.
was sundowning, they tried to cut it up and make it, and then they would do all these voiceovers to try to make him seem saner and then stitch it together. My favorite part of it is when he said, well, I don't know if I can defend New York City if the communist is the mayor of New York City. Donald, Donald, you're not gonna do shit to New York City. I don't care who is the
That's a
mayor.
good
That's where
impression.
Wall
Listen,
Street
Joy
is, bitch.
Reid. Joy,
That's where Wall Street is, bitch. We know you're not gonna do nothing. You know what you're gonna do if New York City has Mayor Mamdani? Not a goddamn thing. Because that's where Wall Street and where your money people are and where your backers are and the people who pay $1 million to join Mar-a-Lago, they live in they work in New York City. That's Wall Street. You're not gonna do nothing to New York City. Nothing.
so what if, look, we're going to have results tonight, probably, or tomorrow morning. Trump gets involved in the New York race, the Jersey race, Virginia race. What happens if they lose, Republicans and Trump loses them all? Does that expedite his process on the way to being a lame duck president, you think?
I think what happens if he loses them all is he just pretends like he never endorsed any of them. He'll just
Ah,
disown the losers, and his cult will say he had nothing to do with it. Remember, he has not endorsed Cuckoo Winsome. He has not endorsed Winsome Earl Sears.
right.
She is, they're all talking about why won't the blacks back Winsome Sears? Why won't Trump back her? Y'all asking with the blacks and the NAACP. Well, he didn't endorse that lady. So you guys are looking for me and people like black people and the NAACP to do identity politics. You got to ask Trump first, because you first, Trump, endorse that lady first and then come back to the blacks. But no, he's just going to, he'll throw her under the bus and say, I don't even know that lady, like he did with the guy who was on the naked video stuff in North Carolina, the lieutenant governor who was on the, what was it, black, the black, the video he was looking at, the naked ladies. He
Yeah,
pretended
yeah,
he
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
even know
Oh, yeah,
him.
I remember him.
Have you seen Herschel Walker? Anybody want to do a wellness check? Where's Herschel? Trump just pretends he don't know those people. If that man in New Jersey loses, he's gonna be like, who's that?
Who jacked it around? So, what do you think? Why do you think that you had Trump, Elon Musk, and Stephen Miller all endorse Andrew Cuomo on election night? On some level, do they really want Zoran? Do you think they can run against that? Or do you think they actually think in their twisted mind that they can have an impact on the New York race?
I think they think they can get Cuomo through because they know Cuomo is a reliable handmaiden of the aristocracy and the oligarchy. They know that he'll play ball with the oligarchs and they're desperate to try to get in. And they think that they'll give him credibility with Republicans to get Republicans to not back the weirdo with the hat, the Curtis
Curtis.
Sliwa. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. So you really think it was a direct play? It wasn't like any kind of chess move. It's interesting to see.
They're not that smart, Dean. You're giving him too much
No, they're
credit.
not. I mean, but Stephen Miller endorsing Cuomo was probably the worst thing ever. That's gone viral all over New York. I will say this one thing, Joy, about all of the anti-Muslim
Nosferatu
stuff.
is with you, Andrew.
The
Nosferatu.
I call him a human gargoyle. The human gargoyle, Stephen Miller. He's what you put to scare like birds away. You put a picture of him like on your barn, and no
Yes.
bird will.
The
Human
birds will be
scarecrow.
like scared.
I will say this one thing, like I'm always worried about younger Muslim Americans because I have thick skin. I've been around. But
Yeah,
what I really was amazed online, Instagram, they're not as young as they used to be. They're like 25, they're 30, they're Zoran's age. And through the anti-Muslim bigotry in New York, they're not cowering. They're getting more defiant.
that's
They're
right.
leaning in. They're angry. Overwhelmingly, they're born in America. They have no accents. They're like, I'm an American. How dare you say this bullshit about my faith? And I think that's really great for the future because I want more of them to run for office. We have four Muslims in Congress now with Representative Latifah Simon, who's great, who's been on my show a bunch of times now. She's like on monthly. She's the fourth one. In Virginia, Gazelis Hashmi is the lieutenant governor nominee. She wins, and she probably will. She'll make history as the first Muslim American statewide in
Yep.
Virginia. So the community, like all communities, you get more engaged, and there's a push and pull. But I'm really happy to see the younger people in my community not backing down. They're like, nope, we're coming. I don't
I
care.
love it, and I have to big up the Free Palestine movement for that, because it has really, I think, emboldened young Muslims to stand up for themselves, because they know that there's a community, and I think people again forget a third of African Americans are Muslim. That means this country was literally built physically by Muslims as well as non-Muslim and Christian and animist and all sorts black folks. The enslaved people who built the country, a third of them were Muslims, at minimum a third of them. So the
Yeah,
country, the Muslim y'all Muslim population goes back to the founding, goes back way before Donald Trump's people got here. There's more claim that Muslims have to to being part of the fabric of America than Donald Trump does. Donald Trump's grandfather was like a Bavarian draft dodger who came over here and then became a pimp. Like he got here in like the 1890s. Muslims have been here since the 1600s. So there's literally no reason for people who are Muslim to back down. Y'all are part of the fabric of the country, and the reality is the Free Palestine movement has emboldened not just young Muslims, but young Jewish people,
yeah.
young African Americans, people of all races, creeds, and colors, Asian Americans, African Americans, white folks, everybody who has stood up for Palestine have gained a voice that is
That's a good
powerful and
point.
that is not going to be silenced by the likes of Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's a great point. Once you get involved in activism, it's not just one issue anymore, and you also get a confidence that, yeah, I can do this. Yes, I can effectuate change. I'm changing public opinion, and policy is going to follow that. So that's vitally important. Look, we're going to see whatever happens tonight. I think it's going to go well. I am concerned about New Jersey, though. I'm
Me
from
too.
Jersey. I'm a Jersey guy. No, a Democrat has not been elected governor 3 times in a row since the 1960s, the early 1960s. People instinctively like change. I mean, that's part of what Zorn's appeal. Change, or
Yeah.
people like change. But I'm hoping Mikey Sherrill has been on my show many times as a member of Congress, or I think the world of, can win there. I mean, we're going to find out. I mean, I know you share those concerns. Do you think the state is trending to the right a little bit, or do you think just instinctively people want change and they're not happy with the way the system's going right now?
I think the Democratic Party in New Jersey, I think, didn't do a great job of motivating people during the primary. I think if Ross Baraka was the nominee, I think you'd have more excitement, I'm being honest. I think Mikey
Sure.
Sherrill seems like a fine person.
He's a
I
good person.
really, truly hope she wins. But Ross Baraka had an energy about him, but particularly the way he stood up and fought for immigrants. But there was just not enough organization behind his effort, and there were too many people running. And I think primary voters just kind of got disinterested, and they came out in really not the right kind of numbers. So Mikey Sherrill is not the most scintillating and exciting candidate, but she's solid, and she would definitely fight Trump. And so I'm hoping that the progressives who were disappointed that it's not Ross Baraka don't stay home, because that's how the other guy. When the other guy is a straight up MAGA lunatic, and if he's already promised he will take away New Jersey's designation as a sanctuary state. He will allow Donald Trump to put the military on the streets of Newark. He will allow mayhem in communities of color. Brown people in New Jersey are going to catch hell. And as you know, a lot of y'all Muslim folk look like Hispanics to a racist white person. So if they see you on the street, they don't know the difference. Remember, they were getting Sikhs thinking they were Muslims. Like they just see brown skin and they just haul off on everybody. And some of them look like Proud Boys. They're like overweight, wearing the little, gear that they bought off a Walmart or off the Walmart website. We don't even know where they got it from. So I'm worried that if he wins, the city, the state right next door to New York City will be hell for people of
Yeah.
color. He's already made it clear. I mean, I can see an abortion ban happening. A lot of bad things could happen in New Jersey. So at this point, I always tell people, exercise your voice in the primary. But when the primary is over, it's time to suit up, march onto the field, and vote for the Democrat. And again, I'm barely a Democrat at this point. But if it's between a Democrat and a fascist, it's Democrats or fascism at this point. So y'all have to vote for the Democrats because it's Democrats or fascism. So you just got to vote. Get out there, even if you're not thrilled with her or Spamberger. Spamberger ain't that excited to me either. But if I was in New Jersey, all I would think is, I am speaking, and go, oh shit, let me go vote for that other lady.
That's fun. Look, and you know what the other thing is? I'm half Italian, half Palestinian. So you have Andrew Cuomo spewing garbage about Muslims. When my grandparents came from Sicily in the 1890s, they were demonized for being olive skinned and for being Catholic.
Yep.
And now you've got Andrew Cuomo helping on the bandwagon of bigotry. And in Jersey, Jack Ciattarelli's also Italian guy. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, not my kind of Italian. You know, like I'm more of the progressive type of Italian guy. It's
Yeah.
kind of remarkable to see those two races. So last thing before I let you go here.
Yeah.
Recent polls of Trump are awful. Over the weekend, there were three, and then Monday, CNN poll, he's a 37% approval rating on CNN. On the economy, it's off the charts bad, 33, thirty-four
Yes.
percent approval. And two-thirds of Americans in an ABC poll over the weekend said we're on the wrong track. But if you watch corporate media, he's like the emperor. Like they want
Yes.
to carry him in on their shoulders and go like,
Yes.
you're so great. They don't say to him like, why?
Yep.
They don't challenge him with the poll numbers. Why do only 33% of voters think you care about the middle class? That's what a poll said over the weekend. Why did Norah O'Donnell ask that question? How
Right.
come people are saying you don't care about inflation? He cares about a ballroom, his marble bathroom, and the Great Gatsby party, where unironically they wear ascots and call each other old sport. Like they do
Yes.
that, they really do that. It's like old sport, old sport. Like we do it joking, they do
Yeah.
it for real. Why doesn't corporate media challenge him on this bullshit? This is we're all saying he's horribly unpopular second term president. Corporate media covers him like he's the most beloved man in the history of America.
They did it with George W. Bush too, because the first of all, number one, people in corporate media are terrified of being called liberal, and so they
Ah,
do everything they can to genuflect toward any Republican in office. It's always the same. Meet the Press is always tougher on Democrats than Republicans. That's been since I was in high school. Democrats catch it worse because people who work in media are terrified that people out in the world are going to think that they're liberals, so they go hard on Democrats and not Republicans. But then it's worse now because all of these companies have bent the knee. CBS bribed Donald Trump, gave him $16 million, and then let Norah O'Donnell talk to him for 73 minutes without ever allowing her to ask him about the polling, even though CBS does polls. She could have
right,
asked him about a CBS poll saying he was. Why didn't she ask him about grocery prices? She had
right.
73 minutes and she wasted a whole question on who's tougher to deal with, Xi Jinping or Vladimir Putin. Why didn't she just ask him, how does your faith help you to get through the day, like they love to ask Republicans? It was 73 minutes of absolute bullshit, but I get why, because they've already paid Trump off and they don't want to piss him off. Then he literally sued them for supposedly fixing the interview with Kamala to make her look better, and then they literally fixed the interview to make him look better. They literally took out his crash out and didn't include it in the interview. Even when they posted the full video, they didn't post that part. And so the reality is they're all bought and sold, y'all.
Yep.
They've all bent the knee. They're all kissing his ass because they have business to do, and they know Brendan Carr is gonna not let them do their mergers and acquisitions if Trump gets mad. Trump is like literally saying that Seth Meyers making fun of him is illegal. And then you know what's gonna happen. The people that Seth Meyers work for are gonna say, well, Seth, maybe you should do fewer Trump jokes.
Yep. That, that's exactly what happened. The comp right though, but can you talk? Can you do a little less? Not none, but whatever. All right. Before speaking of media you can trust, of course, there's my show. But Joy's doing a special tonight. So
Yes.
tell us about your special. People can tune in this evening to watch you do election night coverage, and I'm going to join you after my radio show, like
Yes.
around 9:30.
So if you're enjoying this Dean and Joy connection, you can get more of it tonight. We are going to be we normally are on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern on The Joy Reid Show, which you can find at thejoyreadshow.com. But tonight we are going to do an extra special election night watch party. So we're going to start at 8 p.m. and go to 10 p.m. Eastern, with polls closing at 8 and 9 o'clock in various states that we're covering. We're covering Maine, we're covering Virginia, we're covering New York City's obviously important election, we're covering New Jersey. So we will be on from 6 to 8 p.m. And when Dean gets off of his radio show, he's going to pop on with me and we're going to keep the party going. So election night watch party, 8 to 10 p.m. at thejoyreadshow.com. And don't forget to subscribe.
Subscribe, check it out. Joy, it was great chatting with you. Thanks
Thank you.
everyone for joining. It was nice to have so many people join us in our conversation. We all appreciate it. Check out Joy's show tonight. Check out my show on SiriusXM as well. Thanks
Yes.
everyone. Have a great day. Get out and vote. If you haven't voted, get
Vote.
out. Take
Yes.
care.
Bye.
Bye bye.